Hello, Star Family. I'm April. Welcome to my spirit room. This is where I do all my readings. Before we get started, I want to let you know that there are timestamps below, so you just look in the description and you can figure out where it is you want to travel to at any time in the video. What I'm going to cover in this video is I'm going to do a brief energy update on what the energies are for the next 2 weeks. That's going to include some of the major astrological things that we're going to be experiencing. The Saturn retrograde that we just came out of. We're going to talk a little bit about how that's going to come into view over the next few weeks and a couple months, actually. We're going to talk about the Mercury shadow phase that we're in. I'm going to do a brief update about this Libra Aries polarity that we're in right now. And then I'm going to do a tarot reading, actually 3 tarot readings. You can choose which pile you want to pick from. I'm also offering a free personal card reading for everyone watching. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. That'll be offered at the end of each reading. Let me just say I'm glad you're here. It's not by accident. We've been guided together for this moment, and I just believe that there's something here for you that's important for you to get. So let's get started. I won't be on for the rest of the video. It'll just be the cards. So you can just listen if you like until you need to look at the screen and see what's going on. But let's start off with the energy update. Again, you can use the links below in the description to watch any part of the video at any time. Let's start off with a brief energy update here. So along with this energy update, when I do the tarot readings for each of these that you see here, I will give you the best time to set intentions. So just so you have an idea of the 3 piles that we'll be working with, you can think about it. First of all is bringing balance into your body, bringing balance into your relationships, and bringing balance into your spiritual disciplines. Let's get going on this energy update. There's a lot of great energy right now. It's a beautiful time. We're still in this realm of relationships because Libra is all about connection. And of course, the galactic year this year is really about unity and connection, and that's coming in through the divine feminine energy that is coming in and healing our divine masculine and bringing us into a kind of unity. And we're going to continue in this theme of bringing forward a new idea of what it means to be connected, and this month is really key in that. First of all, let's just talk a little bit about the fact that we just entered the Mercury shadow. For those of you who don't know, Mercury, we think of Mercury, the Mercury retrograde phase, but really Mercury has this shadow phase that happens before, and that's key to understanding our Mercury retrograde phase. So from the 11th to Halloween, we will be experiencing the shadow phase, and that allows you to really take a look at what are my communications with other people? What are my interactions with people like? What's going on in my headspace when I have these interactions? Because Mercury is the messenger, right? And he's going to come in and talk to us about that. So by paying close attention to what's going on in your head during your interactions with other people, what are my thoughts, my feelings, the energies that I really have attached to my relationships and my interactions with others, whether it's on a casual basis out in public or even, intimately with a relationship partner, a child, a family member, somebody at work that you're more intimately connected to. And by paying close attention to this during this time, you're going to have a chance to really see what Mercury is going to do in retrograde, what he's going to touch on, what he's going to reveal to you. Because Mercury retrograde isn't a bad thing. It's really about you coming to understand parts of yourself that maybe are a little bit hidden, and he just wants to bring you a special message about that. So during this next couple weeks, really pay attention to that, and Mercury retrograde will be something that you can work into your life and find a way to really make peace with and really leverage for your ascension and your personal path and spiritual development. We just came out of Saturn retrograde. Saturn was retrograded for 5 months. And during that time, he's the karmic teacher. He comes in and he does some deep work. And for a lot of you, we're always clearing energy, aren't we? We're always working on our ascended self and moving energies up and out of ourselves. But during this time, there was a lot of deep things that transpired. And you may not have a lot of cognition about what that was, but I can tell you what's really important about this next Mercury retrograde is Mercury will definitely bring you some messages about what happened during that retrograde. What transpired? Where did you get to a new place in karmic release? So again, by paying attention during the next couple weeks, you're really prepping yourself. You'll also start to get a sense of what happened during that retrograde period. You may want to spend some time just sort of meditating on the karmic parts of yourself that you feel like you've come into touch with. In other words, what energy patterns have you noticed within yourself? Maybe, I've noticed a lot of you talking about how much you're annoyed with certain aspects of yourself currently, and it's just come into view. But there's a sense of empowerment that's happened because we know that there's been this karmic release that's happening. So be ready, because Mercury in the retrograde phase and over the next couple months is really going to talk to you about what transpired and what kind of karmic things have been released, are being released. And of course, Mercury can bring you that little piece of information that gives you the key that frees you up from something that was previously difficult to get free from. As always, the full moon brings polarities of self into focus. And this particular moon asks you, where are you out of balance in areas of relationship? So in other words, how can you look at the ways in which you are overly independent and not connected, therefore out of balance? That would be the Aries side, the super independent side. And then, of course, the Libra energy, that polarity within us, is going to ask you, where are you being too accommodating in your relationships and therefore out of balance? So these are great questions to really look at, because we're moving into the release stage of the moon energy. This is really going to allow you to come in, bring those things into focus and bring them into balance by releasing the areas that maybe are tipping the scales one way or the other in the wrong way, right? Where are you too heavy and too heavy-handed? Where are you too accommodating? Where are you too independent? How can you give up that energy and move into a place of balance during this time? On the 13th, the day of the full moon, that's tomorrow, and maybe you're listening to this afterwards, but on the 13th and the next day or so, it's going to feel pretty exhilarating. You're going to feel pretty inspired that you can make change. You can feel, I think there's going to be a feeling of expansiveness for everyone as they move into this place of feeling like, wow, I'm ready to let go of things. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to really embrace myself in a more loving and holistic way. And therefore, it's going to open you up. And whenever we open ourselves up and we just release things, there's definitely this feeling of like, wow, I have room, to move and breathe and do and create and be more of who I am, because this junk has gotten out of the way. And so you're definitely going to feel empowered by this moon to do that. And that's that Aries energy. We also have some things going on with Jupiter during that day that just are really exhilarating and fun to be a part of that energy. From a galactic standpoint, we're continuing in this energetic expression of connection. And I know that a lot of you have been lonely for a long time, or even lonely in relationships that you have, or wanting really your soul tribe or friends. And I think that it's really important to do the work this month, because again, we're just moving into this place of understanding connection from a new way. Whether it's through balance in the body, if it's through balance in your spiritual disciplines or your relationships, right? So as you bring that balance in, I think you're really going to see how that affects your ability to see what it means for you to connect in an authentic way to other people during this time and in the months to come. The more you dive into doing the clearing work of this moon, you're going to create that space within yourself for something new. You're also going to create space for you to see who you really are authentically. For those of you that are wanting heartfelt connection with others, until you are comfortable with yourself, until you can love yourself and get to that place of really embracing your authenticity, you can't really offer that. And what you really truly desire is to have others recognize that authenticity within you. So, we can't get back what we don't offer to the universe. So as you begin to release yourself to really be who you are you're going to find that connection means something completely different to you, and you're going to start connecting with the world in very holistic ways that feed you on such a deep and comprehensive level. I'm really excited about that. Now let's get into the reading portion of this video, and I'd like to just outline again what these 3 piles are. So you can pick a pile. Maybe you just want to work on one thing during this time. Maybe you're curious about all of them. I do advise getting a piece of paper and pen to write down notes, not necessarily from anything that I say, but your spirit guides are going to speak to you. You're going to make your own connections during this time, and you want to just kind of take a note if something comes up that says, wow, that really sparked me. That really sent me thinking in a direction that I want to pursue. So your first pile to pick from, pile 1, is the is the pile regarding bringing balance into your body. Pile 2, how can you bring balance into your relationships? You know, that can be relationship to self and others, any kind of relationship. So that's a general pile for those of you who are wanting to do some deep relationship work during this time regarding release, and therefore drawing to you greater abundance in that area. Lastly, balance in spiritual disciplines, to really know what needs to go during this time, what could stay, you know, what is it that you can do to bring that balance and therefore bring your disciplines into a holistic place that serve you on your ascension path, you know, into your higher self, coming into your authentic self. So go ahead and pick your pile, and then below in the description, you can just click to that reading. This is the reading for bringing balance in your body. For those of you who are looking to use this full moon energy to release things and bring your body into balance, maybe even work on DNA codes, or even health issues. So this is the reading for you. This is a 3-card reading with an additional spell card that I'll talk about at the end, which is just a way for you to do a ritual or create some magic, really connect with your own magic in your life in this area. I also want to say at the very end of this, I'm going to have that free offer where you can get a personal 2-card reading from me. So we have 3 cards here. We have, first of all, where you are right now. Then we're going to go over here to where you're headed to. And this is your bridge card. How do you get from here to there? So if you're having trouble seeing because of the subtitles on the bottom, you can always just go up to your settings and turn off subtitles. But I've tried to make this so that you can just read along if you'd like to. So first of all, I have this 4 of discs. You know, where are you right now? What's going on with you right now in your body, and that's needing to come into balance? Because again, remember, we're bringing balance. This moon is all about that polarity and bringing balance, letting go of what's tipping the scales one way or the other. Just a reminder that I'm reading this tarot from an energetic perspective, an Ascension energetic tarot reading. So I want to talk a little bit about what the energy is of this card right here. It's very different in all different tarots. Sometimes you see a man holding a disc really tightly, and here you see a man with what he's got in the chest. You know, are you unlocking something, or are you putting something away? That's really for you to delve into and see within yourself. This is the 4 of Pentacles, and 4s are about stability. When we think of 4, we think of 4 legs on a table. Table is very stable, and we can set a lot on a table in order to utilize. We can work at a table, we can do all sorts of things. So there's definitely a sense of stability right now within your life and where you are going as in regards to maybe your DNA codes and what you're activating and doing. If you're not feeling that, you may be in the shadow side of this card, which is a feeling of unmet expectations. So I'm going to talk about both sides of this and how we can transmute that energy from here to here, being in the King of Cups, which is going to be beautiful. So again, remember that Pentacles are about hiddenness, and they're about patience. They're really about things moving slowly and methodically. It's linked to the earth, and therefore the energy is one of stability and foundation, and the earth will not be rushed. She has her own times and cycles. So right now, you're moving along steadily. Things may feel stable for you. You may be at a point where you feel like you've got a handle on things. This is a 4, so it's not an exalted energy, right? It's not like a 10. You know, we're at the beginning stages, but we've moved out of that 1, 2, 3, and it's definitely where things are feeling a little bit more stable. You feel like you're gaining a little bit more momentum within bringing balance into your body. I think it's beautiful that we drew a pentacle card here because it is about earth and groundedness. This card in its essential dignity is about Venus and Aries. And so there's this sense of a little bit of that psychic energy that Venus brings, but this also represents her visiting Mars, her lover. And so what we see here is she brings just enough psychic energy into this arena where she needs to be a little bit tougher, because when you're married to Aries, you need to have a little bit of grit going on in order to make it through that. So right now, you may be experiencing that. Like, okay, things are stable. I'm kind of trying to come from the inside about all of this, but I'm feeling grounded. Like, I can't get too woo-woo with all of this. I really need to be honest with myself about where I'm at, what's going on within my body, what it is I'm trying to transmute within myself. I can bring a little bit of that psychic energy, but I need to stay the course. I need to have some grit. I need to have some staying power right now in order to get through this. This card is also about ancestral influences. So how this might play out within yourself is either in the light side or the shadow side of this. So you could be looking right now at the ideas and beliefs that were passed down to you, or even physical ailments that were passed down to you. The positive side of this is to recognize the good things that have been given to you by your ancestors, and then to move into a place of also understanding those things that are out of balance that need to be removed, beliefs, mindsets, ways of doing things. You know, if you were brought up to eat a certain way and it's just not serving you, it's time to let that go. It's time to lay that down and be honest with yourself. But the big side of this is to move away from blame, right? Because when you're looking at ancestral influences or generational lineage and things that are passed down, you could move into a victim mindset where you're like, oh, this is because so-and-so. Oh, I was raised this way. If I hadn't been raised this way, I wouldn't have this. All of these are disempowering mindsets that you need to move away from. You're not a victim. You are powerful. When you reside within self-love, you know that Source is going to partner with you in that and is going to bring you to a place of empowerment. So look for victim language and be careful that, first of all, you don't feel entitled to something that you haven't grounded in yourself, right? So if you're thinking, oh, well, my mom and dad had this, so I should have it, you need to move away from that. You need your own story. Likewise, if you have victim language where you are saying, I wouldn't have this if it weren't for X or Y, you need to remove that. You need to come back to your center and really come to that table, that stable place where you can examine your beliefs and get grounded, move slowly and patiently in that pinnacle energy, and begin to embrace what it is that you want to move towards and what you need to let go of. And those would be beliefs, ideas, lifestyle changes. All of those things are going to be coming into focus right now for you. So then we move over here into the King of Cups energy. So you're going to go from this 4 energy into this royalty, this place of real authority in yourself. So over here you might have ideas of what it means to have authority from, maybe you deserve it, and you're going to move over here into actually being it, embodying it, deserving it, because that's who you are in your authentic self. So let's talk about the King of Cups. The King of Cups is an incredibly powerful card. The King is a being of deep feeling. He is moved by the nuances of the feelings within him. He is directly influenced by the sun and the moon and the ebb and the flow of the cycles. He is the water element that comes in, that quenches, but can also drown, and he is deeply, deeply feeling and compassionate towards his people and his kingdom and that which he's moving towards. So what does that mean for you when you're bringing balance into your body? So remember that we're moving from that 4 energy over there of expectation about self and what you should have into really being grounded. And I can tell you, over here, what you're going to find is this is a place where you truly understand what it is that you've grounded and put in your heart. So, you may say, I deserve it, I want it, I should have it for myself. But if you don't believe it and you don't know it in your heart and it's not innately who you are, you're not going to actually manifest that in your life. So you're moving into this King of Cups energy, which is a place of deeply understanding what it is that makes you tick. So when it comes to your body and working with releasing, if you're releasing light codes, right, you're going to have to be working on those beliefs and those systems that you have come up against. You're really going to have to embrace your authority in yourself to come into a place of deep love and appreciation of who you are, your gifts and your insights, and really live those, really command those into being. And the way in which you do that in your body is really by coming into a place of honoring your journey, right? Honoring who you are in your journey, what's happening right now, not denying it, and then grabbing hold of your power and living it out loud. And that means a lot of checking in with that authority, checking in with the guidelines of who you are and who you want to be in your body. Again, if you're wanting to change a diet or exercise regime, you're going to need to have a clear idea of what that finished body looks like. You're going to have a clear idea of who you are when you're in that healthy, embodied state. And you're going to need to make choices of authority for that. And you're going to need to see your body as your kingdom. There's the King of Cups. You are the king over your kingdom, the kingdom of your body and the manifestation of that. You need to make choices that are from the realm of your authority. You need to make choices from the realm of the constructs and the laws that you've created to guide your kingdom, right? So getting over here from I've just got an idea of what I should have to I'm actually living it, right? So how do we get from this idealistic expectation, a place of stability and power, to real authority? And that's right here with our wheel card. For those of you who don't know, this is the Druidcraft deck. It is my favorite deck that I use the most along with the Tarot of the Holy Light. And I love the wheel in this, rendition here because she's actually drawing a circle. She's in the circle and she's working her magic and she's in the center of the circle. Understanding the wheel is something that is very important for us as we move through life and our ascension path. In the traditional, you'll see the wheel, you're on the top of the wheel, you're going down the wheel, you're going to the bottom of the wheel and then back up. And we need to understand that there are seasons and cycles to everything. So understanding the season that you're in your life and what it is that you're working on and what it is that's possible. You don't go out and plant corn in winter, okay? It doesn't work. It's not going to germinate. It's just going to die. It's just nothing's going to happen, right? Probably some squirrel's going to say, yay, and come eat that piece you planted in the ground. So understanding where you're at in your season and embracing that and really honoring the cycles of self is going to be really important if you want to get from here to here, if you want to get from expectation to authority and embodiment. The other side of the wheel is understanding that, what goes up must come down and that this is a natural part of the cycle. So as you're moving into this energy of releasing, remember that when you are at the top of the wheel, you have a view of what everything is going on in your life and how you feel, and it's very expansive and it's a great place to be. But then the wheel begins to spin and you move downward, and there can be a sense of exhilaration, right? There can also be a sense of terror as you go from what you thought you knew about yourself into moving towards the bottom of the wheel. And in the bottom of the wheel, we see ourselves at the top. So there's a mirror reflection from the top to the bottom. I was up there and now I'm down here, and I'm in the depths of myself, and I'm able to examine what's really going on in relationship to that place that I thought I was. And this is the place where you receive revelations about self. This is the place where you receive the aha moments that allow you to create some momentum where you move out of that and back up the wheel. And when you begin to move back up the wheel towards the top, that is the time of integration, where you integrate the downloads that you've received about yourself, in this case about your body, about how you want to be embodied, about what you want to do and change within your physical realm, your physical body, right? So you can see here in this circle that she's casting the circle and she's in the center of the circle. The other part about the wheel is to realize that in the tarot, you are the fool taking the journey through all of the cards to understand your authentic self. And in order to get some distance and move away from the momentum of the wheel, like if you feel like you're spinning and spinning around and around and around, and you need to get some perspective where you're out of the inertia of your life, then you need to go to the center of the wheel. She's in the center of the wheel where she is drawing the circle, right? In the center of the wheel is a 0, which is the Fool. So the Fool stands in the center of the circle of the wheel. So during this time when you're moving from, understanding your expectations about what you want to actually living them out over there in the King of Cups, it's going to be very important that you sit at the center, that you're the one turning the wheel, that you're the one cranking it, that you are moving through the cycles of, I'm having a revelation, and I'm moving towards integrating that revelation. I'm moving up to surveying how I have integrated that and how that looks in my current landscape. And now I'm heading back down to the revelatory realm. We cannot stay at the top of the wheel our whole life. We have to experience all the different stages. And the King of Cups really understands the cycles of life. He is a part of that. He plays a part of it. He embraces it and understands it. So if you want to get from that place over there of, the ideals and here's, getting this idea of what you want to, I'm actually living it and I'm living in authority, you're going to need to really respect your own personal cycles and get into them, become a steward of them and become a student of them. Become a student of your cycles so that you can find yourself in a place of understanding how to make the most out of what's going on within you. Okay, so let's move on into our spell card, see how we can make some magic. All right, we're going to move into our spell card, and this is just a way that you can connect in a playful way with these cards and with yourself, your body, and what you're trying to accomplish. And it's really important I'm going to give you some suggestions for working with this card, but it's also important that you play on your own, that you move into it. And the card that we drew was imagination, and this is just perfect for these two cards. I love how I can use multiple decks and they just dovetail perfectly. Before I go into this, I just want to let you know I am going to give that offer at the end, so you might want to stay tuned to see how you can get your free personal reading from me. Okay, so imagination. A lot of times we grow up and when we're young, we may have parents or teachers that tell us to stop daydreaming, to stop imagining, and we kind of have that quashed in us in ways as we get older. We have to move into the realm of being responsible. Yuck. And so, I think that's a perfect link over here to family ties, that things and beliefs that you might have come into believing about your own body. This could be even, I just want to say, like negative body stereotypes. The idea that your body has to be a certain way in order to be lovely. Whatever it is, this different ideas, you may have had your imagination shut down and your ability to heal illness. You may have had your imagination shut down and your ability to dream about who you want to be in your body and how you want to create from a sense of self. Just by well-meaning parents who thought they were helping you become adults. So we want to kindle the imagination this month, and we want to really kindle the magic that goes along with your imagination there. And it says, imagination now sets me free. Divine ones, I send my thanks to thee. Some ideas for imagination is, to really sit down and sit in this place over here of where you're getting to know your expectations for yourself and what it is that you want to be creating, and get more imaginative. Really let yourself think about it. Really come into that place. If you're going to understand what your kingdom is really going to look like, you're going to need to use your imagination to really flesh that out, to really be like, this is really what I want. If you're doing body work, you need to really go for it. You need to use your imagination through meditation to really see your cells humming in alignment. If you're fighting illness, you want to be doing that meditation in order to imagine whatever it is leaving your body and coming into wholeness. You can use your imagination and bring in different deities to come work over your body. You can invite your angelic team in and spend some time in your imagination, because our imagination is the gateway to the spirit. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, that's just vain imaginations. You're just making that up. This is your reality. You get to choose it. You get to make it what you want. Make it a good one. Make it what you want. So spend some time in imagination, really bringing that to the forefront. And then for some magic, you may want to write that down and keep it somewhere, like put it on your altar. You may want to douse it with some frankincense and lang lang and orange oil, so it really gives you that sense. Those are the sort of the oils that stir the imagination and get us going, and smell it and read it on a regular basis. You may want to perform a ritual with it, where some people, because we are in this full moon energy and we're letting go, you may want to release that into the ethers, by burning it. You may want to bury it so it grows into the fullness of that King of Cups energy, where you're really living it, plant it in the ground. Use your imagination. Get in touch with what it means for you to really press into the magic of imagination and put that into your life. If you're trying to groove a new eating habit and all that, you can use your imagination to really get very clever about what you're doing, what you're eating, how you're eating, when you're eating, making food something completely different than it's been to you in the past, creating a different ritual around eating that can help you break old habits of eating. So eating in different places, eating with different types of music on, creating different atmosphere. And that can go the same for simple things like exercise, creating an imaginative routine. So really play with that and honor yourself and honor your own magic by creating something that's right for you in that realm in order to bring these two pieces together. And remember your cycles that you're paying homage to. And now for my offer. So if you would like to receive a free reading from me, where you get 2 cards, a prayer card and a soul card, all you have to do is send me an email on the screen. Let me know that you want the free cards in the email, and give me your name as well, so that when I'm shuffling the cards, I can think about you. I will take a picture of the card and email them, both cards, and send them back to you. When you do this, you sign up for my weekly newsletter that comes on Mondays that gives you the tarot forecast for the week. I look forward to connecting with you in a more personal way. That's why I chose this reading. I thought it would be fun to kind of take this reading to the next level and allow you to really connect with it in a new and fresh way by having 2 cards that were personally drawn for you. So you can use that email that you see on the screen, or you can see it down below in the description. You'll see the email there. You can also follow me on Instagram at @TheEnergyOracle, and you can visit my website that's down below as well if you're interested in kind of looking at my blog articles and what I kind of do. I'm just wishing you the best as you move forward in embodying who you really are and bringing your DNA codes and your body into complete health. And I want to say that you are loved, that you are precious, that you are perfect the way you are right now. And this moment was custom made for you by you and higher self. I'm glad we've come together to share this time and this experience and to honor one another in the spirit. Namaste. This is the reading for bringing balance into your relationships It's a 3-card spread with an additional spell card where we're going to talk about some magic and some ritual that you can bring into working with your relationships, which just kind of adds some depth and some fun. At the end of this reading, I have a special offer where I'm going to offer you the ability to get 2 bonus cards that I draw specifically for you and email to you. So you might want to stay tuned for that. All right, let's get a little closer in on these so we can get a better look. So here we have, first of all, the first card right here is where you are right now. Then we're going to go over to where you're going to. And this is your bridge card. This is the energy that gets you from here to there. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about. All right, we've gotten a little bit closer and I've adjusted the color. If you're finding that the subtitles at the bottom are getting in the way, you can just turn that off in your settings so that you can see the cards more, or you can just listen. So the first thing we're going to talk about is where you're at right now, where you are personally with your relationships right now and what you're working out. So that is the 5 of Wands. And this is really fun. This is the Everyday Witch Tarot deck that I chose for this. If you're curious about this deck, it's super fun. It's super easy to read. When I read in public, I have a lot of people who choose this deck. It's just very colorful and very friendly. So we see 5 witches here with their wands over the cauldron, and they're kind of having a little bit of a dispute about what's going on and what should be done. And you see that the cauldron is sort of overflowing. They're not really paying attention to that. So, during the next 2 weeks, if you're really going to be working on relationships and looking at your relationships and bringing balance to that, I think this is a great card for it because, first of all, the 5 is linked to the Hierophant, which, if you haven't seen my video on the Hierophant Goes 5D, you could watch that to understand a little bit more about that 5 energy. 5s are represented by the Pentacle. These are even, you can imagine those 5 wands placed down, each wand the same length, touching, and you can see the star, right? So those 5 wands making the star, the Pentacle. And when we look at this, we see that there's a tension between all of these different points. Now, the argument that's going on here isn't a fist fight. It's not something within yourself that you're wrestling with in some like rawr, really angry way, but there's a bit of a sparring, a bit of a playfulness. And in other more traditional decks, you'll see usually 5 boys and they're fighting. And this is really about looking at what works and what doesn't work. It's about preparing yourself for understanding the tactics that work. So, you might see the 5 young men training, right? They're not in battle, they're training for battle. And so you're learning a lot right now about yourself. And again, there's this tension. Whenever we have a 5, we have a tension within ourselves that's being worked out. It's a perfect tension. Everything is equal. You're looking at things from equal directions. So what I would say during this time is that you're really at a place of trying to understand your relationships from different angles. You're assessing what's working in my life right now in my relationships and what isn't. What in me can I address during this time in order to move towards the type of relationship that I want? Because, this dynamic right here that you see of tension is not necessarily the one that you want to have in your relationships or friendships, right? You want to have something that's a little bit more convivial, which is what you can see we're going towards over there. Look at that. I mean, the sun, that's just beautiful. Going from this tension that we have, going for the tension, sorry about that, going from this tension over into this convivial sort of nature. So right now, during this time, during this 2 weeks, we're going to move from one energy to this energy over here. So you can't skip this point. You can't skip going through card number 1 right there where you're at. You really need to sit in that and allow yourself to expand in understanding yourself and understanding the dynamics that you personally have created. Because remember, you can't change other people. You can only change yourself. So understanding your own energetic dynamics, what's going on in your ascension path, that is what's going to help you get to a place of seeing yourself in wholeness so that you can get to this place over here of really having your time in the sun, having the types of relationships that you want. All right, so beautifully, what are we going to move into? We're going to move into, where are you going to? You're headed to the energy of the sun. What a beautiful place to come from, this place of tension over here in the Five of Wands, where you're working some stuff out, into this place of multidimensionality. You know, the sun is actually the third in the trump of the triplicity of the moon and the star and then the sun. So, or the star, the moon, and then the sun. Excuse me. So the sun really offers an integration. It really represents that place of laying down that which has divided you and coming into this place of unification. You know, this card in particular, the sun, is linked to soulmates and twin flames in itself, because it talks about, astrologically, it talks about the split that happened where we split into male and female into two parts, and then this represents the unification, the coming into the place of unification. So for those of you who are working on with your twin flame, or preparing for your twin flame, or you have a soulmate, and if you don't know a bit about that, you can watch the relationship video that I posted, which talks a little bit about the differences in what soulmates are in our life. And what twin flames are. So that link's up there in the corner, right there. So yeah, the sun, what a beautiful energy. We're going to be moving from this place where we're feeling that tension into a place of unity. If you're looking for that place of connection in your relationships, you can really move into this during this time. Remember that this energy, the full moon energy, is about release, is about doing the work of letting go of that doesn't serve anymore. And especially this full moon in particular, in this polarity, really gives you that Aries energy to push forward and that Libra energy to bring balance to what's going on in your life. The sun is just this, you know, here we have these three women, they're dancing in the sunflowers. The sun is out over them. It's just this beautiful, clear day. There can be this sense of reaching that place of expansiveness and connectedness in what's going on in your relationships when you do the work of releasing what you need to release, right? Because it's always about you. It's always about your energy and what you're doing on your ascension path to bring yourself into your wholeness. The sun energy is about deep personal acceptance of who you are, like coming into that place of understanding your authenticity and accepting that, embracing yourself with love, and really bringing yourself into that place where you feel safe to express yourself. And, you know, the sun is a sense of a real consciousness of your personal freedom. You know, unlike the moon where it's sort of dark and, you know, mysterious and you're making your way kind of by faith a bit. It's not like that at all. This energy is really about emerging in self and emerging in this idea of what it is to have relationships and what it means for you to be connected, and really feeling, you know, deeply in a place of deep understanding of what that means for you personally. So how do we get from this tension of, the fives to the release of just being in the sun? It's beautiful, it's wonderful, I'm feeling who I am, I know who I am, I'm loving it, and I'm embracing it. And that's with our bridge card, which is the Two of Pentacles. So the twos are all about balance, right? And they are linked to the High Priestess, which is the realm of I know, the intuitive place of coming from the divine feminine. So in order to get from this one energy of here I am, I'm kind of tussling with this, to I know where I'm at, you're going to need this Two of Pentacles, this grounded energy of balance. And, you know, the big thing about the Two of Pentacles, it's really about taking your time. Pentacles are always about taking your time because they're earth energy, and the earth will not be rushed. She will not be rushed in her energy. She has her own cycle and her own way of doing things. So patience is part of that bridge energy that's really going to take you into this place that you want to be. And I want to read you this little quote. I love this. No need to hurry. You have all the time you need to see through the circumstances, no matter how things appear right now. So again, remember that perfect tension over there, you know, as you're wanting to get to that place of balance. Remember that perfect tension and realize that you're in a place where you're being held by these tensions so that you can look at them equally. And you're going to bring that balance in with your patience and looking at that and exploring what it means for you to let go of areas and bring balance. Perfect for Libra, right? It's Libra Aries polarity here, to bring balance, to move you into this place. And that's all about letting go of what's not serving you. Again, the 2 is linked to the High Priestess, and that's a place of deep intuition and knowing. And, you know, that's something about the 2 of Pentacles really brings into focus for us that, you know, there's more dark matter in the world than there is that which we're actually seeing and experiencing, that we are actually bleeping in and out of reality. And if you realize that, you know, afflictions over here are momentary, that things are moving in and out of focus for you, and you can ride the wave of your now in order to get to a place where you can see, wow, this is really a place where I excel in X, Y, and Z. This is a place where I've already grounded myself in these areas. These other areas in myself where I'm finding tension are not necessarily real. They're illusions or beliefs that I've had about relationship and what it means to be in relationship, what it means to be connected. And you're safe to let go of those, knowing, you know, just really knowing that you're heading to this other stage. You're headed to this place in the sun. The biggest thing I want to stress about this bridge from the 5 to the sun is that this is really about being aware of your own authenticity. The 2 of Pentacles is really ushering you into the stage of following your feelings. And that's the nuanced self that brings you into a state of understanding who you are. And, you know, that necessarily might mean breaking with tradition, breaking with old beliefs, moving away from what others say is right for you, and really being brave and embracing what you say is right for you. What does connection really mean to you? How can you really insist on that kind of connection within yourself in order to bring it in the realm outside of yourself, in your manifested world? It's just a beautiful reading. I think it's very powerful. And I think for those of you who are really doing deep relationship work, I think you're going to find some momentum builds during this time, especially with this Saturn energy. So let's move on to our spell card and talk a little bit about how we can create some magic during this time in order to really just kind of delve into this more and create a space for you that's right for the kind of transformation that you desire in your connections. Our spell card for this month, for the full moon energies the next 2 weeks, is Psychic Protection. What a perfect thing for working on relationships. You know, when you're over there in that 5 energy, really working some things out, you need to feel safe. And during this time, if you choose to participate in this, you may want to practice psychic shielding in order to keep your energy field clear. You know, you're working from this place of understanding what you're letting go in order to move into your authenticity. You need to really keep energies out that might be toxic to you and therefore keeping you from really, you know, they're just polluting you. And I think you want to be mindful of that. Some ideas for psychic protection is to smudge yourself, you know, before and after, before you leave the house and when you come home. Always, I'm way into smudging, whether it's Palo Santo or sage. You know, you may have a variety of things that you enjoy working with, but that's definitely a great way to go with psychic protection. You know, taking the time to do some psychic shielding. If you haven't watched my How to Psychically Shield video, I'll put it up in the corner up there, and you can, right there, and you can watch that and see how you can practice psychic shielding in the right way, because you don't want to create you don't want to be putting out no to the universe. You want to be putting out yes in the wholeness of who you are. Otherwise, you're going to have some rebounding issues that you don't want energetically. And you may wish to write this spell down. That's I'm taking it straight out of the book that comes with this. This is the Magical Spell Cards Guidebook. I love this deck. It's super fun to play with. And so I'm going to put it up on the screen. You can even take a shot of it, you know, a screenshot of it. But you may wish to write it and put it on your altar somewhere, or keep it in your car so that before you go places, you can keep yourself shielded. And so here's that. And now my cat's going to sit outside my door and meow to get in. So we're probably going to hear some of that while I'm in here. So here it goes. Here's the spell. Around me now, a shield of gold, protecting me, strong and bold. Harmful energy cannot find any way into my mind. No discord, malice, or hate can find a way to penetrate. I am protected with the shield wall. Attackers now, they all fall. Dark words, dark thoughts, by the spell they are now caught, and by the power of 3 by 3, as I do will, so mote it be. So isn't that great? That's just fabulous. You know, you can create your own ritual for psychically protecting yourself, and I think that that's really important, is to pull on your own magic. Everything that you need to know is within you. The more comfortable you get with playing with your energy and being in your power, the more you're going to see that return to you. And now for my offer. So this month, actually for the next 2 weeks only, I'll be offering a card reading. So, and this is a card, I will draw 2 cards for you, a prayer card and a soul card, and it will be emailed directly to you. If you want to receive that, then what you do is you just go to the email that you see on the screen. I've also put it down below. Just email me your name and tell me, just email me your name, and I will sit, meditate, pull 2 cards for you and send you the pictures of those cards, and you'll get the prayer and the soul card that you can use for this reading to take with you during this month. Just a personal way to connect. When you do that, you will be signed up for my weekly energetic tarot forecast, and I look forward to connecting with you on a more personal level. So I'm hoping to offer this so that some of you can take this reading and kind of take it to the next level and feel like it's something personal just for you. Well, welcome to pile 3. This is how to bring balance into the spiritual disciplines in your life. So, you know, we all on our ascension path and spiritual growth path, if you're watching this, you're someone who does engage with spiritual disciplines of some type or another, whether it's meditation, tarot, oracle, Reiki, you know, all sorts of different things, being out in nature, whatever your spiritual disciplines are. Because of this Aries Libra polarity right now, we're really in a place where we are advised to really streamline what we're doing and come into a place where we let go of what doesn't serve us anymore. So here are our 3 cards. Card number 1 is where you are right now. Card number 2 is actually over here. This is where you're going to. And this is the bridge card or bridge energy that gets you to that place. Look at all that swords energy, all that air energy, all that mental energy that we have there. 3 swords cards. And I know that the swords cards can be a little bit frightening. And so I've really been studying them this last year and making peace with them and really coming into a place of enjoying the swords a lot more. And I hope to share some of that with you. And I'm going to show you this in some different cards because these are kind of just regular and a little bit nondescript. So first of all, over here we have where we are right now, which is the Knight of Swords. And the Knight energy is youthful and exuberant, you know, it's the teenage energy. That's that energy that we have when we're young and we know enough about the world to go out there and kind of face things on our own, but not enough to be dissuaded. You know, remember when you were a teenager, if you're a teenager now, sorry to say this, you think you know a lot. And the older you get, the more you realize you know very little. But this Knight energy is in a place of looking at our spiritual disciplines, looking at where we are right now. And for most of us, we've been spending a lot of time doing a lot of everything. And the Knight energy is kind of that energy of no rock left unturned. So for many of you, you have a lot of different things that you do and a lot of different spiritual disciplines that you've taken on, that you're attempting to move forward in. And, you know, it's time to streamline. We're coming into this place of needing to streamline. So, you know, this is a very expansive phase. The Knight energy is one of, you know, the Knight is someone of keen intellect. He's known in the kingdom for his cunning. He enjoys a good argument for the sake of arguing things. He may not even necessarily agree but he likes to take the stance of arguing or pulling things apart for the purpose of simply doing that with someone else. And so he's that knight that's known in the kingdom as someone that's, a little hot-tempered, a little quick to go off, a little quick to rush in where angels fear to tread. He loves an adventure. He loves to go out on a quest. One of the things about the knight energy is that he can get so caught up in his own energy and the joy of the journey, discovering the nuances of what's going on and the excitement of something new, that if he... Okay, sorry, I was coughing there. I think I'm a little better now. So the way this energy can be displayed within you is maybe you start out on a quest and you start out with a discipline, and maybe because you have so many disciplines going on at once, you're moving in this direction and there's an excitement with it. There's sort of a shadow side to the Knight of Swords energy where at some point he can become so enthusiastic with moving forward in something that he can actually lose sight of what the original premise was, especially in an argument, and just start making it up as he goes along. And so this is kind of would be exemplified in our life, and maybe you started off on some path and then you picked up another stitch over here from something else and another stitch over here from something else, and you just decided to kind of throw them together and make it work. And then you go along and you see something else, so you throw that into the pot and that into the pot and that into the pot. And so this is really an energy of gathering and trying new things out and just really trying to do a lot of everything all the time. And so now we move over to the energy that we're moving into, which is the Ten of Swords. And this is always a disturbing card. It's the dead body on the road stabbed with 10 swords. I wish you could see. This is the, yeah, there we go. I love this. The Gilded Tarot. It's just really pretty, all the gold on it. But it is a disturbing image. There he is dead. And there's kind of the heavens behind him. And tens are always cards that are about the end of a cycle, the completion of a cycle, coming to a new space. And I want to put this card up here in a different tarot of the Holy Light. This is my other go-to tarot that I love. Actually, let's bring it a little bit closer for you to see here. And so what you see here is you see this body off to the side, the earth below, and it's, it's definitely dead. And then you see the sun looking down and this tear coming out of the sun's eye. And out of the center of the tear, it becomes like a prism that reflects this rainbow that comes out over the earth. And I think this is a beautiful way to describe the Ten of Swords that brings it into the realm of something where we can embrace what's really going on with us and the coming to the end of ourselves in many ways. The Ten of Swords depicts a time in our life where we come smack dab up against the reality of suffering and basically what's not working for us, our limits. And it's important that we have something to measure ourselves against, our own personal limits, We're moving over here from this anything goes, yeehaw, into this, there are limits to what I can do and what I can be and what actually is serving myself. The idea of the rainbow here in the Tarot of the Holy Light is that this prism that's reflected down, and that within the rays, that each one of you can find a niche, a place in which that you belong, a place in which you really shine. And this is the idea that this light comes down and illuminates what's really going on within you, so that you can really look at who you are and, in comparison to all these things that maybe seemed like a good idea, how does that really play out in relationship to who you are in your karmic self right now, in your spiritual self, in your everyday life, with what's going on with you. There's always room for expansion, but sometimes we just bite off a little bit more than we can chew, and it doesn't serve us. The Ten of Swords calls you to really let some things die in your life, to really allow things to change and to morph, to come into a place where you accept the cycles and rhythms of life, that, you know, there's a time to gather and a time to throw away. You know, there's a time to let things go. And it's very important for you to recognize in your life where you are right now, you know, being deeply honest, especially with this Aries Libra polarity. This is a really big opportunity for spiritual growth if you'll allow it to happen. Let me tell you, if you're willing to streamline a little bit and get rid of some things that aren't serving you, you're really going to find yourself in a better place. And you know, I have to say, this also speaks to illusions that we'll get to here in our bridge card. This also speaks to illusions that we have about ourselves. And so sometimes we take on things that we build up in our mind as great. You know, there's different things that I've taken up that I've thought, oh, this is going to be super cool. This is a great idea. I'm going to do this. But it really just isn't who I am. And I have to come to an end with it. You know, this card will tell you there's no judgment. There's no judgment. In 5D, there's no judgment. And on the Ascension path and your spiritual growth, there's no judgment against you if you decide to stop doing something. Even if you've put a lot of time into it, it's okay to recognize that's just not for me. It's okay. I'm okay with being myself because I know myself more. I've gone out and I've collected all these different ideas and I've tossed them around, and now I'm ready to let that go. So, you know, how do we get there? And that is done, our bridge card, how do we get from this energy to this energy, is the 8 of Swords. And I'm going to put this up here in the Tarot of the Holy Light because, again, I think it's much more expressive of what's going on. Usually we see the 8 of Swords. It's a woman or someone, you know, like it is here, sitting there, and they're in anguish over, these swords are hanging over their head and they're in anguish over it. But in Tarot of the Holy Light here, we see something a little bit different. I mean, there is an anguish here. There's an eagle, and it's tethered by this ball at the bottom. You see the chain going from its feet down, and it's unable to fly away. It's captive. It's held captive and unable to move out of where it's at. The 8 of Swords is the place where we really come into contact with our spiritual self clashing with our ego more than anything. And in order to get from here to here, you're going to need to have that clash. You're really going to need to get clear about, you know, what did I pick up that I'm holding on to that really isn't serving me? And maybe it's ego born. It's something where I've just persisted in this no matter what, which is definitely a Knight of Swords thing. I'm going to persist no matter what, even if I really want it, because I just love to persist. And I'm invested, and I've tried this, and it's so cool, and someone else has done it, and it's great. You know, whatever your stories are that you tell yourself, this is really the moment of being tethered, knowing your limitations, understanding where you're at, knowing yourself so that you can choose that ray of light, that niche that you want to be a part of, that place in which you really want to dwell, that place in which you really want to develop and excel. And I can tell you, having 2 or 3 spiritual disciplines that you really focus on is going to bring you into a place where you're liberated from that ball down there that's tethering you. And the truth of the matter is, the confines that we face during this time, this bridge card, the confines that we face are the ones that we've created for ourselves, are the ones that we have created systems and beliefs and ideologies in ourself over the years. And I want to say from the things that have actually worked, right? So if you were a general and you headed out and you went to battle and you were just kicking butt, you would use those different tactics over and over again. But if you were captured by the enemy, you would be subject to those same tactics. And so this is really where we crush up against ourselves. You know, I really want to go to this place of being this person. And I have all these beliefs and ideas that I've been working on to get there. And now I'm smacking up against what I'm actually doing and how it's not working for me. And so this is really about being honest and, you know, taking this offering again, planetarily right now. It's just so perfect for letting go and moving on and allowing yourself to be more and do more and have more and from having less. Less is more. You know, really coming to a place of learning to do certain things really well. So when it comes to spiritual disciplines, you need to look what's really working for you. What's really in line with who you are and what is not. What is holding you back because you're holding on to it. You're subjecting yourself to that idea. And I know when it comes to spiritual disciplines, you may think, I just want to do them all, but I should say, and we're coming into a space where it's time to specialize. It's time to specialize in your ascension. It's time to become not a jack of all trades for the sake of being a jack of all trades, but letting those things die and choosing a ray of the rainbow, a piece of light to be and truly embody. And this isn't forever. I mean, you know, you can always change up and you will have this again because this is a 10, right? So this is the end, and it's also a new beginning to a new chapter of your life right now. So don't think that if you give up a spiritual discipline or two right now that you had thought was a great idea, that you can't pick it up in the future, but it's time to specialize in being yourself. Let's move on to our fourth card over here, which is our spell card. And this is the card that is just, we're going to work with, talk about in order to bring a little bit of magic into this and utilize it in order to really make this jump and embody what it is that you're moving into. Here at the spell card, just a reminder, if the subtitles at the bottom are getting in the way of you seeing them, you can just turn them off in your settings in there. I love how using multiple decks always weaves together perfectly. And here we have the Destiny card. You know, so here we are about all that we've gathered and kind of thought was cool. And as we were dipping our toe in the water and checking it out because we're just so darn clever, moving over to letting go of things and into that place of being that ray of light, being that color that really gives the world depth and I would say gives your world depth. So by embracing your spiritual disciplines on a deeper level and getting rid of some of the ones that aren't serving you, you're definitely going to move into a depth of understanding the energies. And so we've pulled the Destiny card here. What a great card. I wanted to read, this is, by the way, this is the Magical Spell Cards book that I'm using. It's a deck and guidebook. I love this. It's super fun for just integrating what you're learning in a more magical, more playful way. And I really want to encourage you to develop your own magic. It's within you. It's talking to you. Develop your own rituals to bring forward into your life, because when you make your own magic, it's from a place of your heart that goes deep. It goes into your culture. You know, I could give you some ideas. I'm very Welsh and Norse focused. I'm very European focused. And then I have some Native American focus, but that may not be what resonates with you. I really like certain types of ritual, and I use that. Maybe that's not for you, but ritual can mean anything, and so I encourage you to move forward in that. I do want to read this to you. It says, what comes up for you over and over again? What are the lessons you most need to unravel, relearn, understand, accept, and integrate? You know, isn't that perfect for what I'm talking about here? You know, okay, what is it? Really examine it. How are you going to get there? You're going to get there by having a more laser-like focus. See that laser-like focus coming into the life and allowing that which is old to go. You know, destiny is an interesting word. And I'm going to kind of butcher this because I've heard this from Carolyn Mace, but she talks about destiny, and fate is when we allow fear to push us into making choices. And when we move into destiny, we come from this place of knowing ourselves, from this place of faith, this place of self-esteem. And when we talk about self-esteem, I mean, when we esteem ourselves, it's because we are comfortable with who we are. We know who we are, and we've come to terms with that, and we actually can revel in that. And so moving into your destiny is really about reveling about what's working, you know, what's working for you. Really about being honest with that and letting it go, and just knowing that you're being conscious in your choice to move forward with who you are in a way that reveals your destiny to you. Because even if you could see the future, You could see the end, the complete end point. You know that you might make a myriad of choices in order to get there. And that's what this is really about, choosing. Can you choose which way you want to go and which way your destiny is going to take you? So the spell book here recommends that you get well dressed to take a walk. And before you leave, I would say, maybe smudge yourself or put on some essential oils that really work for you and get you into that sort of psychic place where you're in touch with yourself. Get out and go walking. If you're in the city, it's fine, but move your body. Don't have your phone. Don't have your Walkman on, unless you want to try to put some kind of white noise or music with no words on, I would say, and get out and walk. And then as you're leaving, ask your higher self to speak to you on this walk. Ask your higher self to reveal to you through signs and symbols, pieces of yourself that you want to carry forward. And again, this is all about spiritual disciplines. So keep that in mind as you're going out. What kind of spiritual disciplines am I going to move forward with as I do this? So this is just one way to kind of take a journey and check that out. You can do that through meditation. You can just take a trip in your mind and ask your higher self or your angelic team, hey, let's fly forward and give me the signs and symbols that really illuminate for me what's working for me and what's not, and then bring my heart to a place of laying down what isn't working as a spiritual discipline so that I can move forward in this. Maybe you're a list maker and you want to sit down, and this is a very mental energy. Swords is very mental, so maybe you want to sit down and make a list and really say, okay, I've been doing all these things. And then maybe you get really honest and number them from 1 to what's really working for you. And then you decide, okay, I'm really going to let X, Y, and Z go. Or maybe I've put a lot of energy into number 4, but it's actually not yielding the clarity that I need in order to really shine who I am and be who I am. And I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let that energy go. I'm telling you, because this is a 10, it's an ending and it's a new beginning, which is perfect for a full moon, right? Because we're letting go. There's no better time. I'm going to say one last thing about spiritual disciplines here. There's lots of different spiritual disciplines, from sweating to sacred medicines to all sorts of stuff. And this moon in particular really deals with letting go of things that are hindering us from moving forward with our highest growth. And so, I'm going to say this. Some of you are using spiritual medicines and using them a lot. You really need to ask yourself, is that getting me to where I want to be? Some of you are using other things in your life, like maybe you're a painter and you drink a lot and in order to get into that space, or you're constantly spliffing. Is that discipline? And that's a spiritual thing that you're doing. That's a spiritual journey that you're taking using a substance. Is that really working for you? I'm not saying that it doesn't. Some people, they smoke herb and it's perfect for them and it takes them to that place. Some of you, just a glass of wine before you read tarot is fine and it works great for you. Some of you are doing, all sorts of things, peyote and so forth, and it's really great. So I'm not saying those are not good things, but this is a moon that's calling you to look at how, is this excessive in my life? Have I crossed over into something that is in the guise of working for me? Because again, my ego, and that's what this card back here, my ego, is more attached to in it. It's actually a ball and chain. It's not letting me get the height that I really want. Psychedelics, you can definitely come to a point where you've topped out. You're not going to go any further. You're not going to go on anymore. And I know this is a really touchy subject for a lot of you. I'm not telling you what to do and what not to do, but I am telling you now's the time to take a good, hard look at what needs to go and what is not serving you, and really be honest in that. And you may want to do a ritual where when you decide to let go of something, you create a ritual to actually let that go and move on in your life. Okay, so now on to my free offer, which is I'm going to give everybody who responds to this a free 2-card personal reading where you will send me an email. The email's on the screen. It's also in the description below. And with that, I will focus on you. Please tell me your name. I will focus on you, and I will draw a prayer card and a soul card for you. And I will send you a picture of those two cards that are personally for you. And this is just a great way to connect with this reading even more. And both of those cards will apply if you watched all three of the readings. It's just for you right now to really look at your life in this Aries Libra polarity. And it brings it just to a more personal level where you can take it to that space of how can I get an even more fine-tuned message. So when you do that, you're signing up for my newsletter, which comes on Monday, and it gives the tarot energetic reading for the week, along with a tarot reader's tip, and it's got a little mini podcast on there if you want to listen. Some people like to read, some people like to listen. I have to say that the written and the verbal are a little different, but the verbal is usually about 6 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that, the podcast. All of you, thank you so much for being you. Thank you for honoring yourself. Thank you for doing the work of gathering the information and choosing a spiritual path and freeing yourself from karma and creating that ray of light that you bring to the world. What you do and who you are is incredibly important to the life of our planet, the life of future generations, and your own personal life. So celebrate yourself today and celebrate who you are. Know that you are loved and deeply held by the universe. You are not only a part of Source, but you are Source, and therefore you are infinite love. Thank you so much for being you. Namaste.